10 brutal murders in English countrysides 2022. 1. In January 2022, the body of 62-year-old Joan Weaver was found in a ditch near her home in the village of Littlehampton. She had been stabbed to death, and her body showed signs of severe mutilation. This gruesome murder shocked the small community of Littlehampton and sparked a major police investigation. The detectives quickly began to piece together a picture of Joan's final days and hours. They discovered that she had been receiving threatening letters and phone calls from an unknown person in the weeks leading up to her death. On the night she was killed, Joan had been out walking her dog when she was attacked. During the investigation, detectives discovered that Joan had been having an affair with a man in the village. Andrew found out about the affair and decided to kill his wife. He lured her into the ditch and stabbed her to death. He then mutilated her body in an attempt to make it look like an animal attack. Andrew Weaver was convicted of Joan's murder and sentenced to life in prison. 2. 2 months after the murder of Mrs. Weaver, another brutal murder took place in Littlehampton. 66-year-old Margaret Cook was found dead in her farmhouse kitchen, brutally stabbed to death. There were also signs that she had been sexually assaulted before being killed, just like Mrs. Weaver. This second murder sent shockwaves through the community and led people to believe that there was a serial killer on the loose. 3. The police began investigating the murders of 2 women who shared a key similarity. They were both widows who lived alone on isolated farms on the outskirts of their respective villages. The investigation quickly revealed that both women had been killed in the same manner, and that their deaths were almost certainly connected. The police began to look for any possible connection between the 2 women, and they soon discovered that both women had been receiving strange letters in the weeks leading up to their deaths. These letters were all unsigned, and they contained threats against the women and their families. Based on the evidence, the police were able to identify the killer as a man who had been stalking and threatening both women. He was arrested and charged with their murders. 4. The body of 69-year-old Sheila Wood was found in a field not far from her home in the village of Bampton in May 2022. She had been stabbed multiple times, and there were also signs that she had been hit before being killed. Wood's body was found by a passing motorist, who immediately notified the police. A subsequent investigation revealed that she had been killed sometime the night before. Her husband, who was away on business at the time, was ruled out as a suspect. The police have not released any further information about the case, and no arrests have been made. 5. Just over a month after the first murder, another elderly woman living alone was brutally murdered. Dorothy Harper, 73, was found dead in her cottage in the village of Upper Hucknall. Like the first victim, she had been brutally beaten and her home ransacked. The police were once again baffled, and the community was left reeling from the second tragedy. The police have not yet determined a motive for the murder, but they are investigating whether it was a crime of opportunity or if the perpetrator had targeted Harper specifically. 6. Nancy Jones was a much-loved member of her local community in Lower Hoddesdon. She was always quick to help others and would often go out of her way to lend a hand. So, it came as a great shock to everyone when she was found dead at her home in June 2022. An investigation was launched, and it soon became apparent that Nancy had been a victim of a violent attack. Her body was traumatized, and it is believed she was brutally beaten before being left for dead. This tragic event has left the community reeling. Nancy was a kind and generous woman who will be sorely missed by all who knew her. 7. Gladys Mitchell's body was found in a ditch near her home in the village of Easton Moor-D in July 2022. She had been stabbed to death, and there were also signs that she had been assaulted before being killed. The 88-year-old woman was discovered by a passing motorist, who alerted the police. This tragic event has left the community of Easton Moor-D reeling, as everyone is struggling to come to terms with what happened. Mitchell was a well-known and well-liked member of the community, and her death has left everyone feeling stunned and heartbroken. Everyone is hoping that the murder will be brought to justice soon so that they can have some closure and begin the healing process. Northamptonshire police launched an investigation into the murder and quickly made an arrest. The man they charged with the crime, 23-year-old Lewis Day, was someone who had been known to Mitchell and who lived nearby. Day was found guilty of murder and assault at his trial and was sentenced to life in prison. 8. On the 8th of August, another elderly woman living alone was murdered when 91-year-old Agnes Frum was found dead at her home in the village of Little Gaddesden. This comes just 2 days after another elderly woman, also living alone, was murdered similarly. This string of murders has left the community shaken, as it is clear that these elderly women are being targeted. The police are urging people to be vigilant and to check on their elderly neighbors regularly, as it is clear that these women are in danger. 9. The murders continued in August, when 92-year-old Ethel Mayhew was discovered dead at her home in Great Tew. The cause of death was determined to be blunt force trauma to the head. This was the fourth such murder in the area within a month, and the police were baffled. There were no obvious suspects and no clear motive. The only thing that seemed to connect the victims was their age. All four were elderly. The murders caused a great deal of panic in the community. Elderly people were afraid to leave their homes, and many moved in with relatives or friends. The police increased patrols in the area and asked the public for any information that could assist them in solving the case thus far. 10. The murders began in July, when 96-year-old Margaret Hewlett was found dead at her home in Banbury. This was followed by the deaths of 86-year-old Dorothy Mendelssohn in Chipping Norton and 88-year-old Mary Hardwick in Bicester. These murders continued into August. All the victims were elderly women who lived alone, and all of them were found dead in their homes. The police believe that the murderer or murderers are targeting elderly women who live alone, and are urging anyone who fits that description to be extra vigilant. But finally, on September 1st, the police announced that they had arrested a man in connection with these murders. The suspect is believed to be a local man in his early 30s who has previous convictions for assault and grievous bodily harm. Like and subscribe to make sure you don't miss the next video. And check out YouTube and the TikTok channel for more videos. Thanks for watching.